If you made one thing that mattered every year, one thing that was like, took every part of you to make it, you know, something that just was so pulling on every part of wherever you were at that moment, that at the end of your life you would have a large body of work that had meaning to you as an artist, as a human being. One of my goals in this whole thing was to come up with a project that was really going to be engaging and big and challenge me in ways that I haven't been challenged before. I had read about this fence that Israel is building between themselves and the Palestinians probably in about June, and there was a spread with a graphic of the map where the fence is being built. Was just this stark, angled single line that kind of graphically went across the map in a very imposed and confined sort of way. When I looked at that Newsweek article and saw that line, my reaction was totally, we can't come up with a better way to solve this kind of problem than this archaic method. In this day and age, we should be able to think differently about how to deal with these kinds of issues. It just came to me that it would be an interesting metaphor to sort of apply that same stark imposition with a natural object, that would be the line, onto a landscape that is open and free. The only place that I really thought it would be exactly the right place was the Arboretum. This is absolutely the first time I've ever done a project that I could not have done by myself physically. I've never made a piece of art that I needed help to make it happen. I couldn't find anybody who had ever done anything like this. The most complicated part was figuring out how to do it technically, and then to just rely on faith that whatever I came up with was going to work. What the conceptual idea is has sort of changed and morphed for me, in large part from the interaction with the volunteers and other folks that got involved in the whole project. That question, why did people volunteer, I think, is probably the most interesting part of this project. And I can't say I totally have the answer to that. One kind of funny thing is I was talking with a group of people about this whole project around that time, and he was standing there, and someone had said to me, "How did you get all these people to help on this project?" And this gentleman that dug the trench turned to them and said, "Hey, listen, anyone who gets within 6 feet of this woman ends up working on this project." There's something about this idea that caught them. It really is something that I don't have to draw for you to understand. As soon as I say, think of a beautiful, open, natural area, and that you want to be a part of planting 10,000 bulbs spanning a half a mile long in a single line that goes right through that, is something that anyone can visualize. A 5-year-old can visualize what that would look like even though they've never seen it. Something about the simplicity of that, I think, was enough to get people engaged, and then they brought with that their own reasons.
I chose to do it because I think mostly the project is a beautiful idea. I like the suspense of it, that we get to hide these secrets, and then they'll come up almost when we forget that we planted them.
I work every day with children that have diabetes at work, and being outside and being in nature is really therapeutic for me and regenerating, and I get a lot from it so that I have more to give back to the people that I interact with.
You're superimposing a line onto nature, and it's a straight line as she has zigzags through the arb, and it's quite arbitrary. It's not in a line with anything, really.
I enjoy planting daffodils because I find them to be a sign of hope, and I like the idea of the community coming together and building hope.
I picked that particular flower in part for technically it's a flower that is an annual, so it will come up year after year. It's also, I really like the color, being sort of a cautionary color. The idea of this yellow band, this yellow line coming up year after year, coming and going, almost like a blinking light, a warning light. And it grows and multiplies over years. Part of the idea about this conceptually is that it will morph and change over time, and the Arboretum has totally understood and embraced this concept to the point where they agree that it will not be maintained, that it will change, and however it changes is sort of related to the overall conceptual idea of this, in the sense that, you know, these man-made imposed borders that we as human beings need to put up to separate ourselves from each other eventually in time break down and scar the earth and change and morph and, you know, become sort of a monument or memory to past generations. Today I got an email from a gentleman who was walking through the arb and was very disturbed by it. In a way, he verbalized what the overall idea is about. He's opposed to a man-made thing being being imposed on his environment. I hope he'll come to realize that this is an ephemeral thing, that it will go away, and in 3 months his arboretum will be back to where it had been before.
We wondered why it was so angular, because it didn't fit with the natural environment. And we didn't get that, but a flower is always beautiful to me, so in that way it's not obstructive.
Yeah, exactly.
But I didn't get it. I didn't get why a line.
Well, it seems to be dividing the two areas. So I was just surprised to see that they're pretty, but they seem to be dividing.
I don't know, like you have the line running like all the way across the whole field. I don't know. It's just like something that you can follow and kind of brings 2 points together.
When the context is like just, you know, splitting up in random right angles in the middle of a field, it's sort of like you don't get it as much, you know what I mean? So for that reason I don't like it, but I do like it because the statement that it's making, I like the way that it makes a statement.
I think it's a pretty interesting division that it's definitely pretty clear, this side. I don't really know why. I think it's just a row of flowers, but there's definitely a feeling of being on one side of the flowers and the other side of the flowers.
They're beautiful. They're absolutely, they bring so much color. Honestly, it's really cool. I've never seen it before.
It's interesting to me how art can elicit such visceral and intense feelings, and of course that is a successful result.